So I've just seen the newly released images of the new Mini. And to be honest, for me, it's neither here nor there. I don't know if you're into minis, but for me, it's not really a thing. I don't really care. But I read and realized that something interesting has just happened. And it's the start of what I predict will happen to at least 80% of the automotive industry by 2030. I've been saying this now for many months, and it's interesting to see this domino happen. I think it's going to be a real domino effect where we're going to see this happen really quickly across much of the industry. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Electric Viking. You are watching the channel that talks about electric cars every day, 5 or 6 videos per day every day. We try and bring you the news, and I mean all of the news if we can. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Awesome to see so many new subscribers come on board recently. If you want to help support the channel, I'll put a link to our Patreon account in the description below. Now, as many of you know who've been watching this channel for a while now, I've been predicting that most cars will eventually be built in China. Why? Well, that's where most cars are already built that are electric. That's true. Around 65% of the world's cars that are electric are built in China right now already. Why? Well, China is the world's largest electric car market. It's the world's largest car market, full stop. And obviously, they're just doing things at a much cheaper price in China because they're selling electric cars on par with gas cars. And I'm talking this is not one example, but BYD are not the only company doing this. There is a number of companies doing this. Leap Motors doing it. Great Wall are doing it with Aura. Xpeng are doing it. If you compare their cars to comparable vehicles that are gas powered, there's a number of different car companies doing this. So there's going to be a huge structural change in the automotive market. And I predict that car companies such as, Rivian and Lucid and other car companies that manufacture their vehicles in Europe and the United States will struggle with this. They will struggle to compete on price. It will be challenging. Now, obviously, subsidies will have to prop up much of the market if they're to resist this massive structural change in the auto market. That is the only possible way that companies that build their cars in Europe and North America and Japan will be able to survive. Obviously, Japan is in huge trouble because the automakers themselves are not supporting electric cars. They're sort of maybe talking like that, but they're not really in terms of the actual numbers. But obviously, so you'd have to say that Japanese car makers are in quite a lot of trouble. Now let's get to this Mini and just have a look at it and then have a read of what is actually going to happen with this new Mini. So the 4th generation new Mini promises to be the most radical redesign since BMW relaunched the brand in 2000. For those of you who don't know, BMW essentially bought the Mini brand because in the UK, they don't know how to make cars work. My ancestry, my dad's from the UK, but honestly, what on the earth happened in the UK over the last 20 years? They just lost the plot when it came to manufacturing cars. Somehow Germany was able to do it and do it a lot better. So they started acquiring British car brands like Bentley and Mini. And then Tata in India bought Jaguar and Land Rover. Anyway, you get the point. Same thing even happened to Rolls-Royce. They were acquired by BMW as well. So, undisguised photos of the next generation Mini 3-door hatch have been doing the rounds overnight. First on Chinese social media, and now on platforms we're more familiar with. You're probably wondering, why was it first on Chinese social media? Well, the reason is because the electric version will be built in China. Now, I think these pictures are legitimate because many of the styling details actually marry up with the camouflaged prototype Mini that they unveiled early in November. Now, the Mini will actually come in 2 different versions. One of them will be a bunch of different petrol engines, and to be honest, they're boring as hell to me. They don't interest me at all. Even though I do consider myself formerly a petrol head, I find gas vehicles to be incredibly boring now. I don't know why, but it's like they don't change or get better year after year. They just do the same thing over and over and over. You know, they have turbochargers. They have 120 kilowatt in these, 1.8, 1.5 litre engines. It's just the same thing I've been hearing for 30 years. And it's honestly, it's boring. So what interested me about this story was the fact that there was going to be an electric Mini. And I wanted to know where that electric Mini was going to be built. And when I saw the interior of the electric Mini, I thought, boy, that really looks a lot like a lot of the cars being built in China right now. a lot of the cars in China are built with this very minimalist design. They don't have the buttons. They're sort of, in some ways, inspired a lot by Tesla. Very similar. And to be honest, some of the interiors on some of the Chinese cars do look better than Tesla's. Don't get me wrong. I love Tesla. I'm invested in the company. But a lot of the interiors, I think, do look better. It's like they've looked at Tesla. They've gone, okay, cool. That's the thing to do. How do we make that look even better? And this new Mini interior looks very minimalist, has a big digital screen, and it's just got a small digital screen in front of the driver for the driver to look at. It's quite nice. Anyway, turns out the electric models are being jointly developed by BMW and Great Wall Motors. In other words, they're being built by Great Wall Motors in China for sale all around the world. In other words, when you buy an electric Mini from France or America or any other country in the world where they sell, in the UK or anywhere, it will be manufactured in China by the Chinese using Chinese batteries and Chinese parts. And this is what I predict will happen to most of the automotive industry by 2030. Why? Well, most of the batteries right now are manufactured in China. And why is that? Why is it the CATL has only extended their lead in terms of being the world's largest battery manufacturer? You would think over the last 12 months that their lead would have decreased. Instead, it has increased. You would think that BYD's battery deployment would not have tripled within 12 months, and yet it has. Why? Well, costs to manufacture batteries in China are lower. They control the supply chain all along the way. I've made videos about that. I'll put a video in the description about the way that China has monopolized the battery market. It's going to be very hard for Europe or anywhere else to catch up. So, remember one key fact here. If you build vehicles in China, you cannot own more than 50% of that business. The only car company or company that I know of that owns 100% of their business in China is Tesla. And there's obviously a very key strategic reason that China made that decision, isn't there? What do they want to do? They wanted the expertise. They wanted the expertise that would come with working for Tesla. They wanted their citizens to work for Tesla, to gain that expertise, to gain that knowledge, to gain that information, and then to take it out of Tesla and give it to their local car companies. And that is what is happening, whether Tesla like it or I like it, right now. That is what is happening in China. Here is some more proof of that fact, and more proof of the way that Legacy Auto are utterly screwed. The company that's making the gigacastings for Tesla, right, turns 70 pieces out of the car into one. What does that happen? What does that do? Massively reduces the weight of the car, massively reduces the efficiency, massively improves the speed at which the car can be built. There's so many advantages to having that gigacasting. Well, guess what? Legacy Auto, they're not interested. But 6 car companies in China, most of them electric, have all purchased gigacastings within the last 6 months. This is just one example of many that paints you the picture of what is really going on here in the automotive industry. And it is very, very alarming if you live in the West. And if you are concerned about manufacturing in the West, you can see the trend that is happening here. Unless Legacy Auto changes dramatically within the next few years, there is going to be huge layoffs and huge bankruptcies. And that is just a fact we're going to have to contend with, whether we like it or not. Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate your support, and I'll see you again on the next one. Bye-bye.